Hey, welcome. Today, we're going to break down a mental model that could totally change how you think about getting ahead. It's called the leverage pyramid, and it's all about one simple idea: multiplying your output, not your hours. So does this sound familiar? You're putting in all the hours, you're working harder than ever, but your progress just feels kind of flat. It's like you're on a treadmill, right? Running faster and faster just to stay in the same spot. If that feels like you're definitely not alone. It just means you've hit the hard limit of what one person can do. And here's the thing, the reality is you only have 24 hours in a day. That's it. That's a hard cap on your personal effort. But what if you could just completely shatter that cap? Well, that's where leverage comes in. It's the huge difference between putting in linear effort and getting exponential results. So, how do we actually do this? We're going to use a really simple but super powerful framework, the leverage pyramid. Think of this as your map for multiplying your effort. It's going to guide us from the old school, time-tested methods all the way up to the real game-changing tools of today. Okay, so let's get a really clear definition down. At its core, leverage is just using a tool to get more done. You know, like using a crowbar to lift a heavy rock you couldn't lift on your own. But in the world we live in, the world of work and wealth, our tools are way more sophisticated. It's about designing entire systems that do the heavy lifting for you. And here they are. The 4 layers of our pyramid. At the very foundation, we have labor. Right above that, capital. And then, at the peak, these are the 2 forces that are truly redefining how wealth is made in the 21st century. We've got code and media. Let's start climbing from the bottom. All right, let's start with the foundation, labor and capital. These are the 2 oldest forms of leverage there are. I mean, they've built empires and fortunes for centuries, so understanding them is absolutely essential. So, what are we actually talking about here? Well, labor leverage is pretty easy to get. You manage a team. Suddenly, your output isn't just your own work anymore. It's the combined effort of everyone you lead. Then there's capital leverage. This means using your money to make more money. Your dollars basically become your employees, working for you, through investments in things like stocks, real estate, or other businesses. But, and this is a huge but, there's a critical limitation here. They are both incredibly powerful for sure, but they're also both finite. Managing people is really complex and it takes a ton of time. And, you need to have capital in the first place for it to start working for you. So while they're the bedrock of wealth, they also create a kind of ceiling. Okay, now we're climbing to the top of the pyramid, and this is where the game completely changes. We're talking about code and media. These are forms of leverage that were basically science fiction just a few decades ago, and they play by a totally different set of rules. First up, we've got code. You can think of this as leverage in the form of digital workers. Imagine a piece of software or an app or an algorithm. You build it one time, and it can work for you around the clock, 24/7, serving thousands or even millions of people all at once, and it never, ever gets tired. It's seriously like having an army of tireless robots at your command. And then we have media. This is all about creating content, kind of like what you're watching right now, that keeps working for you long after you've finished making it. You record a video, you write a blog post, you make a podcast just once, and it can reach this limitless global audience, building your influence 24/7, even while you're sleeping. And this is what makes code and media, honestly, almost magical. The key idea here is something called zero marginal cost of replication. What that means is it costs basically nothing extra for your app to help a million people versus just one person. It works for you 24/7, and this is huge. It's permissionless. You don't need anyone's permission to write some code or start a podcast. You can have a global reach from the very first day. This is a total revolution in what's possible. Okay, so we've climbed the whole pyramid. We've explored all 4 types of leverage. But now comes the most important part, turning this whole framework around and looking at yourself. How does this actually apply to you? So here it is, the whole pyramid in one simple chart. Just look at the progression. You start with labor, other people's time, which has pretty low scalability. Then you have capital, your money working for you, which has medium scalability. But then look at the top. Code and media, software and content working for you. They both have effectively infinite scalability. This is the new frontier. So we're going to leave you with this really important question. Take a look at your career, your projects, your goals. Are you just operating on your own effort? Are you leveraging other people or capital? Or are you starting to build at the top of the pyramid? Are you creating something with code or media that can scale and work for you long after you've finished for the day? Which path you choose? Well, that's entirely